is being sent to a third party.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm here with Dr. Tom Lodi. We're doing this again. And we had a great time last week. So if you have questions tonight, please post them in the side chat. And we do our best to get as many questions as possible. But Dr. Lodi is available. His website is in the description. So if you don't get your question answered, please type it below or get on and post them below the video for future feeds. We can also go and take some questions from the previous feed that we had until people are going to join us tonight. And I hope everyone out there had a wonderful week. And let's see here, just getting set up. Hello, Dr. Loda. How you doing tonight?
Great, fantastic.
Now,
This
go ahead.
no, I just said this morning.
Yes, this morning, because it's morning where you are. Now, tell
Yeah,
everybody about where you live and how amazing it is there.
yeah. I live 5 degrees north of the equator, which is um, in Thailand. I live on an island, and I mean it's a good size. It's a pretty good size island. And anyway, it's 12-hour days, 12-hour nights. It's kind of where I don't know. You remember that story? What was it called? Oh, that's right, the Genesis, right? Remember that story, Genesis? Anyway,
Yeah.
remember where God put us. He didn't put us in northern latitudes or southern latitudes. Put us right around the equator. Anyway, I guess he had a reason. So anyway, 12-hour days, 12-hour nights. The beautiful thing. So it's the beauty. It's sunrise and sunset are somewhere between 6 and at I think sometime parts of the year it gets to 6:40, but maybe not. Maybe
So is that all year?
yeah, all year. AM and PM. So if it's 6 a.m., it'll be 6 p.m. And yeah, so normally, usually, like recently, the sunset's been around 6:15 p.m. But anyway, so that's it. And the point is, so we've got 12-hour days, 12-hour nights. There's only two seasons, wet and dry. Otherwise, it's always warm. You can, and the ocean is like right across the street. You can go in the water at 8 p.m. It's warm. It's not hot,
Amazing.
but just
Amazing.
really nice. And fruit grows all over the place. I mean, it just grows. I mean, you should. What I would like to do is do a like a live stream where I've got a camera with me and I can just drive down the street and just show you all the fruit stands. There's like,
Now, how do you know? How do you know if it's organic or not?
well, they're just local, and you ask them. There's no way to know. They say they don't use anything. They say some of them admit that they do. So I never know, but I do know there are farmers around here that are very strictly organic, and in fact,
Oh,
there's one group that just it's right up the it's about 2 hour drive from here. It's in an area called Pangna, and they send boxes of whatever I want, produce and fruit every week, once a week. So there is a definite organic sources, and then you've got all the people that are on the street. But the point is, it's just plentiful. And what I love about the idea of this is, and the Thai people are like, I don't know how you'd have to be here to understand it, but they don't judge, and you have no you. I can't even describe what that means. You don't realize how much we judge each other. We judge each other every millisecond, nanosecond. They just don't judge. They don't conclude stuff that we conclude. It's
yeah.
You'd have to be here. But anyway, it's a wonderful place to live, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. So
Okay. Well, that's
that's right.
amazing. That's amazing. We got to do a whole video on that. We got some questions now.
Good, good.
Uh, the first question is one I've been waiting to ask you from last week. Somebody said, I'd like to ask if one lives a cleansing lifestyle, like he recommends, can we do just as good age 50 and onward without putting uh, ID hormones in our bodies? I think because last time you spoke about that. So do we need that when we're over 50, or can somebody do fine without that?
Yeah. So sure you can. Well, you can. Yeah. Okay. So let me explain that. if you had a 10-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl, they had the same haircut, and they were both just wearing bathing trunks. You couldn't tell the difference too much. They're just standing there. In about 3 years, there's a difference. Okay. And it's an incredible difference. And that difference is hormones. And they're men and women have the same hormones. It's just that they have them in different proportions. Men have more of this and less of that, and women have more of the other. But that's it. So they and our bodies are subject to these high levels of hormones for 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. All right. Then it wanes, and we start to lose that hormone. So for that reason, because our bodies were used to it, it now is a hormone deficit. When we were 8 years old, it wasn't a deficit because it hadn't been a part of our physiology. So now it's a deficit, and what goes with that are all the physiology that those hormones were supporting. So, for example, in a woman, it's obvious that you've gone through menopause because you no longer have menstrual cycle. However, what you're not seeing is the rapid progression of osteoporosis, coronary artery problems, your risk of having a heart attack, and cognitive decline, and all these things happen, whether or not we know it or not. It's just because those are being supported by these hormones. Now, with men, it's called andropause, and there's no defining moment like the period stop. However, men know by loss of motivation, loss of libido, loss of sexual function, and also cognitive decline. And so that's that. Now, in the Hunzas, when we look at the Hunzas who were living normally, like 120, one was like normal. When I was in Vilcabamba back in, I was early 2000s, I went to Vilcabamba. I bought some property there. It's called the Valley of the Long Lived Ones. To sit at the elders table, you had to be 100. So if you were 95, you're just too young. Fred Bishi would be just too young for this table. And anyway, so the thing about them, the Huns, is that the women are still delivering. I don't know if it's anymore. I think they've been polluted by now. But the women were delivering children at 65. The men were getting them pregnant at 110. And so what does that tell me? That tells me that we have here a very successful premature aging program. Very successful. We're really good at it. And premature death. So in other words, I think what's happening is the natural process that you're referring to will always occur. It's part of life, just like we go up, we go down. But ours is accelerated. Now, here I am. I'm not ready to be a shriveled up old man. I'm just not ready for it. I guess I could, but I'm just not ready for it. So I prefer to keep my hormones balanced. So it's up to you. If you're like ready to shrivel up,
on the same hand, it doesn't automatically mean you shrivel up, because we understand what you're saying about the depletion of hormones as we get older, but what is the connection? Because like, why do some people deplete sooner or earlier than other people? And
toxicity.
Toxicity.
In fact, let me explain that, because that's important, and I'm glad you brought that up. What we call aging is even toxicity, and what happens is as we when you're born, if you're a healthy baby, your metabolism is amazing. There's no waste accumulation. It's just right. And as we get older, and if you have children, if you remember, like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, they have really large bowel movements frequently, and you see that. Okay, that starts to diminish as people get older, but not because our physiology changed, but because we're starting to accumulate toxins, and so our ability to excrete is decreased. But even on a cellular level, we're not eliminating toxins. So these toxins accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, and ultimately they cause dysfunction of every organ and gland. When that happens to the hormones, like ovaries, testes, thyroid, all that, then we see hormone production decline. So so then we see the phenomenon of aging because of the hormones decline. But so you're absolutely right. I have a guy in in Bangkok. He's eight, either 79 or 80 years old. Anyway, his testosterone was 1250. That 16-year-old boys are 800, 900. So so yes, you're absolutely right. We don't have to get, we don't have to be there. So that's the point. So it's up to you though. You can check your hormones. You can see if you feel any of the effects that are obvious, and it's up to you. But if you're going to replace them, you want to use the plant derived bioidentical. And lots of indigenous cultures knew this, so that when, like, well, for example, when women reached a certain age in certain cultures, they would start eating more whatever yams or whatever it is that they were eating, and they just knew it as it's part of their tradition.
Well, I was gonna say, so you use so is it a cream, a yam cream or something?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how often do you use that?
Well, it depends. Like if for a woman, it's daily, but we cycle it. So like, uh, you arbitrarily pick day one. You go up day 1 to 26. They use this cream that has going to be predominantly estrogen, and then progesterone is another one, but they would only use that on days 12 through 26 of their cycle because that will more mimic the healthy cycling of a 35. Whereas a man would do the testosterone daily, and then we all need DHEA. DHEA is a very important hormone made by the adrenal glands, and that has to be in a proper relationship to our cortisol production, right? Because DHEA undoes the negative effects of
Do you
cortisol.
supplement with that as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you want to keep that. You want to keep that up high because that's important for not only stress, but it's also the precursor to other hormones.
Yes, it definitely is a precursor to cancer. It's known to have, and it's an agent thing. It shows you. So now, what do you think in the development of humans? We were living to 900 years and having babies in hundreds. Then the flood came and man started to eat uh,
Animal.
animals, and now their lifespans diminishes to under 100 years. And today it keeps lasting longer, but the quality is less. It should be that way around, but we're lasting longer today than ever before, but the quality is less than ever before. So we're sicker at a younger age than ever before. So a man is living to later ages because of technology to keep people hanging on, but they're just hanging on. They're in bed or something. They can't. They're just messed up because of all the stuff. So, what do you think? What toxins changed that all that to make this where we are now?
Yeah, well, um, it's very interesting. I grew up with a few amazing lies. One is that I was born I was blessed to be born in the greatest country ever. And one of the other lies was that you've never had it so good. We've never had it so good. And I'm thinking, oh, we've never had it so good. So anyway, now, and that we're living longer. So I said, well, let me check that out. So everywhere I went for probably 15 years, whether it was Europe, Asia, America, backcountry, I went to graveyards. And I like to go to the graveyards in the rural areas rather than urban because I saw a difference. And I went and looked at how either end of the dash. And I saw that, yeah, there's really no difference in the longevity. The difference was the number of people. And the reason is if we go back, for example, at the turn of the century in urban centers, 1 out of 5 women would die in childbirth because of complications. All right. If you went to school and you were worried about your grade point average, if you had straight A's and you got 1B, you'll never get an A. You can never get the 4.0 again. If you had a C, anyway, just 1 or 2 is just trick. So when they're talking about averages and numbers, yes, on the average, that may be the case. Maybe the case. I don't know. However, I noticed that it was more in rural. So I went all around the world. And I found that we were living, and sometimes in areas they were living, there was more older, like people in their 90s. than I see around here. So that is a stretched truth. But what happens? We are I think probably the major thing that happened was about 10,000 years ago. And by the way, well, I'll talk about them. About 10,000 years ago, when we look at skulls, but be older than 10,000 years, they had all their teeth. After 10,000, they started losing their teeth. Now, one of the amazing things about dental plaque is that it's powerful. So we found dental plaque. Archaeologists found dental plaque, and they were able to identify the exact microflora of the oral cavity of people prior. So what happened around 10,000 years ago? We started planting grains. We started planting and eating grains, and it changed our microflora. Then the next big change was in 1885, around that time, when we started to industrialize and process food. That was the other big change in our microflora. And we now know that I know it's hard to believe, but up close to 90% of all illnesses are not associated with, but begin in the mouth. We don't realize that. I can't tell you how many CFCs. Remember, we don't talk about Virgo, Leo, Gemini, or Cancer, or any of those kinds of words because they're just astrology. If we're talking about chronically fermenting cells in the body, okay, CFCs. Anyway, you wouldn't believe how many, like breast, the microflora, the oral microflora of a woman with breast CFCs is going to be very similar to other women. With that, colon is going to be very similar. It's mind blowing if you get into this. So that's one of the main things that's happened is diet is in the diet. And as the diet has gotten worse, and now who knows, we don't even eat food anymore. Remember, if your food's in a package and you have a label, don't eat it, because now they're telling you what they hid, right? Because I give you a banana,
box, container, or can. They're not even telling you. They're showing you that you couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't make it more obvious, and people are just.
You don't need a label on a banana, but so if you need a label on something, that means they're hiding it. So yeah. So anyway, but the point is this. So there's that, and then if we add to that, Paul, all the I forget how many chemicals they it changes every year, but then the amount of chemicals in a woman's breast milk is like what? 280 different chemicals in it's crazy. So I'm surprised that any of us make it to the age of 30 at this point.
Yeah, well, it's getting there. We're just barely doing that. Tom, we have a bunch of questions. We're only on for an hour tonight, folks, so let's get to some questions, and we'll try to be as fast as possible through the questions. But Dr. Lodi has a great live calls every week. You can sign up for his newsletter and sign up for his program on his website. I'll put the link below to that. So we had a question from Wolf Girl 78 says, I have been suffering with long COVID. I eat a very healthy, high raw diet, no oil, omega-3s, greens, fruit, pumpkin seeds, and oats. I have had fatigue, flu-like symptoms, and post-eternal maladies or ma malaise. Even with this healthy lifestyle, I've been ill for 7 months without much improvement. I would be so grateful for your input.
Wow, that's first of all, long COVID. I'm not sure if that exists, so I would and don't it's always better not to put names on things that just let's not name it. Let's just understand that we're not feeling well. We're out of balance, and I think that's a more what do you call it, effective way of dealing with it, because you're going to restore balance, and instead of trying to find something and get rid of it, it's a different paradigm. But anyway, I would have to ask you, where do you live? Do you live near 5G? What's your exposure to 5G? Because 5G will give you all the same,
like
whatever
we spoke last week. Yeah.
And that's it. And then again, do you live with anyone? And did they about the same time? Do you see any kind of patterns here? There's someone you live with?
Watch your words carefully here.
Oh,
Did they, so you're living with somebody, did they, you
Oh,
got to
are
speak
they
in
sick?
code language.
Right. No, no. Are they sick, or did they are they also feeling the same symptoms as you, or and you're so are you like living together in the same environment, same exposures in life, and you're feeling ill and they're not? Hmm. Did you or them uh, uh, agree to be injected with anything? You know, and that's another big question. So the thing I always look at is those injections and the 5G networks, and you can actually go online and find your area, and they'll show you the density of 5G towers in your area. Um, so that would be worth doing. And if you are near them, it's really, really good idea to move. You know, because you can't. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
Unless
Well,
I don't know. Do you guys know about the Faraday clothing?
not just the clothing, but there is a lot you can do if you have to be near the towers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that studied this out, and you got to find somebody you could trust, but they sell all sorts of things now to protect yourself.
Right.
And they're always coming up with new technologies to protect yourself. And if it works, is a questionable thing, but there's stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so the symptoms you have, they're quite common, and it's interesting because a lot of the so-called name to things that are out there are similar symptoms to what the radiation, cell phone radiation would cause. And go back to last week's, I don't know if you saw it, Wolf Girl. Wolf Girl, that's her username, Wolf Girl. Go back to last week's, but we also spoke about, besides the radiation, of the cell phone towers, we also spoke about, we're not going to get into that for sake of time, but go back to last week, but Lyme's is similar to a lot of the symptoms you're talking about. So that's something to possibly consider. And Lyme's was always traditionally spread through ticks, right? But they're doing all weird stuff now with mosquitoes and other bugs. But who knows if they figured out a way to get mosquitoes to give Lyme's to people or something.
They're not even real mosquitoes anymore, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
GMO mosquitoes. So yeah, we live in some weird dystopian future, and we're gonna wake up soon. Really, this is all a movie. We're gonna wake up soon. It's not really happening. But so the other thing is, sounds like if you've been eating uncooked vegan food for quite a while, really hard. It's obviously not your lifestyle, right? I mean, you can always, we all need to cleanse, just like we need to change our oil 3 or 4 times a year. We all need to cleanse. You could go through a cleanse. I'm sure you might have done that already. Make sure your bowels are clean. Do that. Are you getting enough movement? Are you going to sleep early? I just, tighten up that. I don't know if you've had dental work. Look at that. But you have to find a real, true biological dentist. Make sure that they are IAOMT certified, not just a member, and uh, get a 3D cone beam CT, and it looks at your mouth from different areas. Because remember, teeth are 3 dimensional, so when you do a 2D X-ray, you're not going to see everything. Make sure nothing's going on there, and then other than that, you've got to check for the as we said, the electromagnetic pollution, and also chemical injections.
Yes, and if I may, I'd also suggest, I don't know, some people that are into living healthy are against blood tests, but a good blood test can reveal if you have a deficiency of something. And if you do and you figure out what it is, often just taking that will help your symptoms tremendously go away. So it's always a good idea to get blood work done to just make sure, especially you say you've been high raw now for 7 months or so. And if symptoms aren't going away, just to make sure you're getting everything you need. But one of the things she says she has is flu-like symptoms, and that as less of a deficiency, seems like she's getting too much of something
Yeah,
possible.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
body's trying to get rid of something, but for suffer from that for 7 or 8 months, that's something serious detoxing. The body's trying to get rid of something.
Yeah, and what you might check, I think a very important couple of very important tests that anyone should do if you're going to get blood tests is a fasting ascorbate level. That means on it, you haven't eaten all night, you haven't eaten for at least 8-10 hours. What is your ascorbate vitamin C level? Okay, because remember, we and a few other mammals lack L-gallunolactone oxidase, which is an enzyme that is the final enzyme in the pathway from glucose to ascorbate. So vitamin C, what we call vitamin C, is only a vitamin to dogs don't need it. They make it. Bears make it. Giraffes make it. Elephants make it. They all make it, okay, all day long in their liver. We don't. We lack this one enzyme and we don't make it. So therefore we have to get it in our diet. And most of us don't eat enough. Like the chimpanzees are sitting around all day long eating, right? And they're eating all day long. So they're getting it. The same with even the gorillas don't eat as much fruit. They're just sitting there eating plants all day, right? They're hind gut fermenters is what they are. So, but anyway, the point is this: ascorbate. If you realized how pivotal and essential that molecule is to biology. I mean, every creature makes it. Fish, amphibians. Okay, it's essential. So you can easily be low, especially the fact that now a lot of food is hybridized or GMO, and we don't have the same nutrient content. So that's even if you're eating healthy eating healthy. Check your fasting ascorbate. The other one you want to check is your fasting insulin, not your fasting glucose, your fasting insulin. All right, you want that to be 3 or less. All right, so those are very important for overall metabolic health. But you got to get that ascorbate up. And if you can't do it with diet, and you want to have your fasting ascorbate above 50 micromoles per liter. So, by the way, just a very interesting thing. They did a big study on, so 50 and above is healthy. 23 is considered low. You're deficient. And if you get to 7, they're calling you scorbutic. In other words, you're on your way to end stage scurvy. Guess what? They did a study of the German population, large study, like 100,000, 200,000 people. 40% were scorbutic.
Wow.
Percent. Why? Because sausages and beer, right? No, probably no fresh vegetables, I'm sure. And so 40% scorbutic. But if you realize what vitamin C does, it would blow your mind. I mean, I want to give a talk on it, like a webinar one day, because it's just mind blowing.
I have a tree. It's called acerola cherry, and it's the highest food on the planet in vitamin C.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really great. Acerola cherry.
How often does it bloom?
2 or 3 times a year, actually.
Ah,
Yeah. It's a very popular tree. Yeah.
ah,
It's
that's
really
fantastic.
good. Okay, so thank you for that question. And another question next from Jiri says, what supplements can you take together for best benefits from CFCs? Also, what dosage of black seed oil do you recommend?
What supplements can you take together? Well, the only supplements, remember the word supplement means in addition to that which is inadequate. That's the definition of supplement, in addition to that which is inadequate. So the more adequate your diet is, the less it needs to be supplemented. And so just look at it in that way. So I look at supplements and like, what can I not get from diet? I cannot get vitamin D. All right, you get vitamin D. And if I'm not living in Florida or Thailand or San Diego or Corpus Christi, then I might not be getting vitamin D all year round. Like I think in New York, anyway, there's charts. You can look them up. There's charts with the time of year and the intensity of the sun. Is it adequate to produce vitamin D? And there are places where it doesn't matter if it's noon on August 15th, you're not going to get the right intensity. So in those cases, you must supplement with vitamin D. So and what's amazing to me, I check vitamin D levels on people who live in Florida, people who live in Thailand and California, and they're subnormal. I mean, they're sub-healthy. So, and I don't understand that. So, but it's just unfortunately the case. So you need to have vitamin D over 100. You got to have it. They're going to tell you, oh my God, don't listen to them. And then the other ones are vitamin C. You've got to keep your fasting ascorbate above 50. And if that means so what I recommend in terms of a supplement is this: you get the pure sodium ascorbate powder, and you dissolve that in in water. So you take a liter bottle of water and you take 2 teaspoons, which is about 4 grams each. So you got 8 grams in a liter, and you sip it 7 to 7. Sip 7 to 7. Sip 7 to 7. The reason you do that is because your body cannot absorb more than 200 milligrams at any one time. So if you got more than that, you're going to just pee it out. So if you're sipping 7 to 7, and you got a liter, to make that liter last 12 hours, you're going to have to take small sips, and those small sips will then be absorbed. That way, you'll have your fasting ascorbate up, your vitamin D up, and the other couple are iodine. Unless the only people in the world who have healthy iodine levels are Japanese, who live traditional lifestyles. The rest of us don't eat enough seaweed, and there's just no more iodine around. Iodine used to circulate. It would be evaporated from the sea, get in the clouds, and it would go up probably to what they call the goiter belt. Probably a couple thousand miles or 1,000 miles inland of a continent. Right? We'd have enough iodine. Now we don't. And then things have changed. And iodine is not going to be found in seafood, fish. It's going to be found in the vegetables like wakame, kombu. Wakame can actually concentrate, I think, up to 30,000 times the amount of iodine that's in the ocean it can do. Anyway, so we don't have that. And the very important thing with iodine is you have to realize, I don't know why it's forgotten, but do you know that a woman's breasts, when she's pregnant, they have the same sodium iodide transporter system. They can extract more iodine from the blood than the thyroid can. A woman who is pregnant, her breasts can do that because why it's important for the baby to get that iodine so that it develops correctly. Now, and it's not only the breast and the thyroid, but it's the stomach. A lot of other organs require iodine, and we just don't get it. And the FDA, the Fraud and Death Association, only gives us, they only tell us that we need a few hundred micrograms, right? Which is enough to keep you inadequate. Anyway, so iodine, vitamin D, vitamin C. The other one is melatonin. Our pineal glands are under assault from fluoridated stuff, from EMF, from glyphosate. All of that stuff is destroying our pineal glands. Melatonin, keep in mind, is a neurotransmitter immune modulator. It's not really a hormone. All right. And blind people have less CFCs than people who can see, like 1/3 the amount, because they're always in the dark, so they're always making melatonin. And melatonin is a powerful immune stimulator. So don't look at it just as something to put you to sleep, but it's stimulating, and it's the most powerful hydroxyl scavenger, which is a free radical that accumulates in our body. Every melatonin molecule grabs 4 hydroxyls. So while you're asleep, it's the night janitor cleaning up, and it's waking up and stimulating the immune system. So melatonin. So the things that when I talk about what you need to take, it would be that, and I also would do the Velasta. So Velasta and any other carotenoid you can get, but Velasta is the king. Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna be doing a podcast with Sam.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. But you
That's
guys,
a blast there, everybody. It's amazing.
yeah, and it's from algae, so it's very cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're doing all of that, and then with the iodine, you got to make sure your thyroid is balanced, your adrenals are balanced, and then that's all you really need. If you're eating healthy. Now, if you're not eating healthy, then you got to go to Whole Foods and get one of each, one of every supplement on the shelf, because you're not eating it. So it's really diet.
Yeah, and we have more questions, but I will say, if you're not eating healthy, the answer isn't just to go get one every supplement. The answer is
No, it's
start
not.
eating
Yeah.
healthy because it's counterproductive in every area, time, money, and you're not going to reach health if you're not eating healthy. Even if you reach your test scores on a blood test because you're taking a vitamin, if you're not eating healthy, you're putting yourself on a dangerous path.
You
And
can't be healthy.
yeah, exactly.
You can't
And
be healthy.
it's not difficult to eat healthy today, and so that's why I make these videos to help people realize this. So we got a couple more questions because we are gonna finish here at 9. So the next person says, I did a urine strip and it showed some protein in my urine. Should I be concerned? Now, this same person also went on to say, I'm also seamlessly stuck in cortices, fasted and even ate like 100 carbs, but 24 hours later, still showing high ketones. And yeah, so that's pretty much the question. So urine strip showed some protein in the urine and the question about ketosis. So what's
Okay.
your
Sorry. So it was a urine dipstick. I understand that. So if the protein was, it can be depending on the strip, it can be mild, right, moderate, or it can be high. Okay. If it's high, that's when you need to do a 24-hour urine to find out if you're losing more than like 3 grams in 24 hours of protein, then that's a big problem, right? That has to be taken care of. If it's just mild, it goes up and down. It could just be that you're having inflammation of the urinary tract, or there's infection. There's all sorts of reasons for a mild proteinuria. Okay, so I would recheck it, and if you're high, then you have to get a 24-hour urine test. They'll know what to do. And then, okay, that's that. Because then you're talking about, if you have that, then you're talking about the functional units in the kidney called the glomeruli actually get holes in them. And you're not only leaking protein, you're leaking vital stuff. So you've got to find out about that. And by the way, you know how you heal it, or you know how it heals? We can't use that as a transitive verb. You know how it heals? It heals when you leave it alone. You stop eating. Fasting is the only cure handed down by God. Okay, so but that's that. Now, ketones in your urine, and you said you ate a lot. So I don't understand how many. You've got to be more quantitative instead of qualitative. Now, everybody should have ketones in their urine in the mornings. If you stopped eating, depending on your age, anywhere from 3 to 5 hours before going to sleep, you should wake up in the morning with about 0.8, maybe 1 of ketones. So that's pretty normal. So I'm not sure what you mean. If you mean you have, so you got to, and I don't know if you're talking about blood ketones or urine ketones, because that's a big difference.
Yeah,
So
she said I fasted and even ate like 100 carbs, but 24 hours later, still showing high ketone.
right. So if you didn't eat you ate the carbs, then you didn't eat for 24 hours. Oh, high ketones. Well, don't worry about it. I mean, this is good news. The more your body's using ketones for energy, that's more efficient. It's more efficient. It actually adds to clarity, the healing. It's a very good thing. That's not something to worry about. I would definitely check your. I mean, hallelujah. If you can eat anything you want and wind up being in ketosis, like God gave you some special equipment there. So, but the other thing is, do recheck your urine, because you don't want to be high.
Let me ask you about the urine too. Dr. Morse says I personally was always under the impression if your urine's clear, that's a good sign. Uh, Especially if you're fasting, you drink a lot of liquids, your urine's clear. When you're eating a lot of high concentrated food, it's usually highly yellow and high, there's a high odor. But Dr. Morse, I was watching him, said that you want your urine to be yellow. And so, what's your opinion about that? Because I wasn't sure. I never
Well,
heard that.
yeah, well, yeah. If you're well hydrated, it's going to just be diluted. We're just talking about dilution is all it is. So, and the reason urine is usually darker in the mornings is just because you haven't urinated, so it's concentrated, right? That's the only difference. Now, what makes urine yellow is the same thing that makes feces brown, so, believe it or not, and that's from blood. So, blood breaks down the hemoglobin in blood breaks down into different chemicals, and the one that winds up in the blood in the feces that makes it brown is called stercobilinogen. So there's all different levels of it, and that's what it is. So if your urine is yellow, that's that's normal. And if you were not well hydrated, your urine would be more yellow. So I wouldn't don't think about those terms. The only time that it's really like in the morning, your urine should be no matter what you're doing. But I know if you're on a 3 or 4 day fast, you even in the morning it won't be that yellow. But it
But is that a
depends.
good thing or a bad thing if it's yellow?
It's good.
But
It's
if it's a
good.
good thing or bad thing if it's clear, is there any negative signs of having clear urine that you know of?
No, the only negative thing about clear is if you were in kidney failure and your kidneys just weren't working and it's just water, they weren't able to do their job and just water was coming through. But you would be sick. You wouldn't just
Sure.
so yeah. But the other thing is the yellow in the morning tells you that your kidneys did their job. You know,
Okay.
and I just want to do a real quick segue and just say I do not at all think that drinking your urine is going to help you.
I was
Okay.
just going to ask you this, and I might have a difference of opinion of you. I was just going to ask you this. Where you are, is this popular out there?
No, well, no. But let me just tell you what, because I got into it. I was in New York when the guy that wrote Uropathy, that first book, he was a. I was in all of it. I
Is that
got it.
David Jubb?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Our kidneys make sure that the sodium is exactly at this level, the potassium, the magnesium. It is extremely careful to make sure that everything is just excreted, and because we got to keep things, and it's one of the major reasons, things that mechanisms that maintains our pH and all that. So it's extremely detailed. So tell me, why would we be excreting things that we need?
Maybe if we're getting too much of it,
No, what is the
diet.
whole idea with the urine therapy is that these are things that your body really needs, and by drinking them, well, wait a minute, if our body
No,
needed,
that's not it. From my understanding, the urotherapy, and I've seen it work personally. I've seen it work. I know it works. I know it works.
yeah,
What it has is urea, and urea itself is a tremendous anti-inflammatory. So
and
I've
antioxidant.
seen people with digestive tract inflammation. Uh, Russian doctors use this theories quite, and also India, but I know Russian doctors particularly, they put their patients on urine therapy that have had ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, and they've actually gotten better. So
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great anecdotal studies. So urea actually, that's true. Urea functions as an antioxidant, and one of the reasons we have higher urea is because we don't make ascorbate. Creatures that make ascorbate don't have as high urea. So urea is kind of like uh, a, a compromise there, that a metabolic compromise. And so urea is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a healthy thing. However, I just think that you can get whatever you need in other ways. I don't think that something that's excreted from the body would have we would have excreted something we need. But okay, if you're saying it's urea, okay, I'd rather get some vitamin C than drink my urine. But anyway,
sure, I'm all for you there, but it's I mean
anyway, I
it's
have a hard
it's
time with that.
you
I'm
brought
not
it up because it's a popular thing, and it's been around for a long time. So
thousands of years. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's got history. Listen, anecdotally, I say yes, absolutely. Personally, I couldn't do it. No, number one. Number two, on a very just teleologically, I'm trying to figure out why would we eliminate things that would benefit us? Because God made this incredible apparatus we have, this Earth suit, and I don't think He made any mistakes. So it's kind of a teleological.
yeah. Well, again, if you're, I mean, I don't know, it's not really a folk tale, but if you're out in the wild and you get bit by a snake, they say pee on it.
Yeah, no, and in Italy, the family used to drink the newborn's urine.
Yeah.
So no, and I have some friends in New York who've told me about, I forget what it was, some miraculous thing, and they've done it repeatedly with different people, and it heals. I can't argue with that. That's absolute truth. I'm talking about from a teleological, like it
And
just
well,
doesn't.
from that same standpoint, like inflammatory bowel disease, people I know have used the urine therapy successfully, but there are a lot of doctors, even in this country, doing something that I think is absolutely crazy. They're actually giving them feces enemas because of the probiotics. It's a very common thing that
Oh,
people are
yeah, yeah,
using. And to me, that's a whole nother level of like, no, but when a
yeah,
person is sick, they're going to be desperate. And also there are people out there that are trying to find an answer to help people. And, you know, whatever the person is doing isn't working.
right,
And
right,
we would
right.
think, why would God create us and something that He wants us to get rid of? Why would we benefit from taking it in? But at the same time, you know,
Yeah,
He's smarter than we are, and and it doesn't make sense to our mind that any of that could be clean or
right.
good for us. But people have success. I mean, what else can you say?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Fecal implants. Yeah, they call. Yeah,
yeah.
it's it's amazing what they're finding now is that, like, for example, if a woman has breast CFCs, and most of them, like I was saying, have a very similar microbiome, and they look at their feces, they have very similar. So if they took the feces from someone who doesn't have it, a healthy woman, and implanted it, it's they're getting some success.
All right,
Anyway,
I'm gonna go to the next question.
yeah, please.
We're running out of time. Somebody says, uh, I have a bump on my head like a cyst. Is uh is it a big deal? 95% raw for 35 years old,
Wow.
6'1" and 165. The person's name is Adam. And I'll let Dr. Lodi answer that, but I'll say right off the bat, there's a lot of questions you left out there of how long it's been there, is it growing, is it shrinking, what caused it, and all this stuff. But I'll let Dr. Lodi try to answer that with that little bit of information.
Yeah, right. And the other one is it's soft, hard. You said it's a cyst, so I'm assuming that it's soft and you can press on it. And like Paul said, did it just appear one day at that size, or how big and small? Where is it located on your head too? So there's a lot of questions. I don't. So we really, it's impossible to answer without having a little more information.
Now he's
But
starting to answer. He says it's soft.
it's soft. Okay. And
4 years not growing.
huh. So 4 years, it's been exactly the same size and it's soft. Where on the head?
It's on top of the head.
Hmm.
I mean, if it was a different part of the body, I said it could be a fatty deposit or something,
Right.
but up there, it's very
Right.
unlikely.
It's really, yeah, it's unlikely. And then, um,
I mean, did
you
you
know,
bump your head when that happened? Like, did it just appear? Or did something lead that on? And yeah, I don't know.
right.
Uh,
But I'll
now,
tell you something. It's this, a lot of times in a cyst, what we call a cyst, what I have found is that it's really parasites. Parasites they live in, they make, they make a nest for themselves to protect themselves. Now, I'm not saying that's a parasite, but I'm just saying that's when I see cysts, like we do X-rays, ultrasounds, and the radiologist says, oh, and there's a couple cysts on the kidney and the liver and stuff, and they never address it further than that. What I have found is that they are parasites. But this here, if it's nothing there, it's very simple. You just put in a little, you can get a small little insulin syringe and stick the needle in and just pull it out. It's gone. You took the
well,
fluid out.
I want to say don't to Adam here. Don't just do it on your own. Go to
No,
somebody who
no, you
has
have to do it.
to help
Yeah.
you with that. And if that's something you want to explore, maybe find somebody who does that and for a profession and see
Right.
if
You
that's possible.
you should get a doctor or a well-trained like physician's assistant or nurse practitioner. And when they take it out, what they could do is send it to the laboratory and find out what was in it. It'd be good for you to know what was in it, how it got there. Is it just fluid? I mean, it's a very strange thing. I'm not sure. I wish I could see it and touch it so that I could help you
Now,
more, but
some lady here just says, I had one and my doctor said it was from excessive oil on the scalp.
uh,
I don't know if it's the same thing, but that's what she said.
Interesting. And she only had one. Excessive oil on the scalp. We see that frequently, and I don't. So and I don't see those. I don't see singular cysts that last for 4 years from that. But yeah, that's you're right. That's yeah. Oily scalps. Some people, a lot of people that have oily scalps too, also have acne. So, but I'm not sure if you had acne. Um,
Okay, let's go to another question here. We got about 10 minutes left. Tracy says, do you know anything about methotrexate?
yes,
Yeah, I take
methotrexate.
it for rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm trying to wean off it, causing side effects, very toxic drug. Before Dr. Lodi answers, I will say one of the best things for rheumatoid arthritis is the Volasta astaxanthin. It's excellent for anti-inflammatory inflammation, and I know people with rheumatoid arthritis that have taken this. I did videos with them. Their testimonies was amazing. So about Tracy's question, go ahead, Dr. Lodi.
Yeah, that's Velasquez is very good. So are the nut oils. Different oils are very good for that. Even like someone was asking before about the black cumin seed oil. You know that I'll tell you, you take it as if you can stand it. Have you ever tasted it?
No.
It tastes the way I would imagine gasoline would or kerosene. It's really. It's like the only thing I've ever taken. I take a tablespoon and I have to quickly like drink something, lemon. But that's very good. So yeah, so rheumatoid arthritis is an inflammatory condition. Whenever you hear the suffix itis, you know that it's inflammation. Okay, gastritis, colitis, whatever. So in this case, rheumatoid arthritis. So talking about the joints. Now, rheumatoid arthritis has a particular distribution. It's not all joints, right? It's specific joints, right? So it's usually the distal part of the fingers, right? And so, and it can actually wind up causing uh, uh, inflammation of the joints in the suture lines in your skull as well. People can wind up getting different shaped bones in their skull. Now, the methotrexate is a very powerful chemotherapy agent that we use. Okay, it's part of many standard chemotherapeutic protocols. It's very dangerous. In fact, there is something called methotrexate rescue that they do in oncology, where somebody who's been given like all the protocols for their particular one that has, which it's all lies. It's all lies. But okay, they've done all the protocols and they're not working. So now they do a methotrexate rescue. And the reason they do it is methotrexate is the only chemotherapy that has an antidote. So they can give you super high doses and then reverse it instantly. Okay. And they do that by giving you a drug called leucovorin, which is just really a B vitamin. It's very strange. Fully. So the methotrexate rescue, they give you extremely high doses, and then they give you like an hour or two, and then they quickly give you that, hoping that they're going to. It's bizarre. So you're taking a chemotherapeutic agent. Yes, you can wean off it, and you should do exactly what Paul said. The Volasta. Now, one thing about Volasta too is that you can get it in a gel, which you could probably rub on your fingers as well as taking it orally, and you might even try to put it with. Now, the other very powerful anti-inflammatory is DMSO. You can put that directly on, on your joints and on your hands. And maybe the DMSO with the Volasta, it'll drive the Volasta in.
Sure. Okay, we got the last question of the night here, and everybody, we'll come back with Dr. Lodi again if you want, and get your questions in. And super chat's open, so in the future, if you do a super chat, you get your question answered first. And we're both pretty busy, but we're happy to get on here, even if it's for a short while. But just type in the comments or below if you're gonna want us to do this again. But so Jissy has a question. 89-year-old who had a mini stroke, would hyperbaric chamber therapy be of benefit?
Yeah, yeah. And there's two kind of strokes. There's a hemorrhagic stroke and a dry stroke, right? So the hemorrhagic stroke means a blood vessel burst, obviously, and it damaged some part of the brain. And the infarct or dry stroke is where the blood vessel was blocked and there was no blood flow, and that area died. Either way, the one where that was blocked and there was no blood flow is much easier to take care of, to heal, because the one where the blood covered an area of the brain, it's causing more, it continues to cause damage. You know what I mean? It doesn't stop. So it takes a while. So it's difficult. But both of them respond absolutely to hyperbaric. And there was a guy in I forgot his name now, a medical doctor that I knew. I was friends with him at one time. In San Diego. He was the king of this. He was taking people. Let me explain something about a stroke. If you have an infarct stroke, like in other words, which is the most common, the artery is being blocked a little bit, and so everything beyond that part is not going to get blood flow, and it's going to die. It turns out that only a very small part in the middle is actually dead. The other part around it is, they call it stunned. It's stunned. It's just not dead, but it's not working yet. So what they have found, and that constitutes 85% of the deficit. So let's say someone had a stroke. Now, I don't know what you mean by mini stroke, but let's say someone had a stroke and their right side of their body won't move. Right? Let's say that happened, right? And you give them hyperbarics daily for like 2 months. What happens is they regain 85% of their deficit. They now can move their arms. They probably don't have the exact, it's not like the left arm, but they can get 85% because it's not really dead. There's only a small part that's dead. So yes, either way, very, very important, but it's got to be daily. It's got to be consistent, and you've got to be up at least around 2 atmospheres.
Okay. Definitely a good thing for so many things, hyperbaric medicine. Dr. Lodi, before we end here today, please tell everybody a little about your clinic here in Phoenix in the United States, and also what you offer people through your website with your newsletter. And the website is below in the description, everybody. So before we go, tell everybody about your amazing clinic and also this. And I want to tell everybody, if you have a loved one or yourself have been told by a person in a white coat that you have something, and they want to treat you with drugs, or they can't treat you at all regardless, Dr. Loda is the guy to go to. I mean, he has the medical background to understand what they're doing to you or trying to, and he also has the intuition and history to know how to get better, and and to help support what you're going through. So tell everybody about your the clinic, and also what you're doing.
Sure. An Oasis of Healing is the name of it. It's in Arizona, and it's our 20th year, so we've been around a while. So we take care of basically people with chronically fermenting cells, and most people come to us with at least stage 3 and 4. Rarely do we get, unfortunately, people with stage 1 or 2. Sometimes we do, because sadly, the people with early stages wind up going to the hospital, and they turn it into stage 4. So it's like it's beyond ironic. So, but anyway, so we're there, and we do everything. But the foundation of our program is cleansing and the diet. We have raw food chefs. We teach you how to eat, what to eat. We teach you we also take you to Whole Foods and Sprouts and teach you how to shop. I mean, it's just, we want to make sure that when you leave, you have the tools to stay healthy, not just, because the idea is not, how do I get rid of this? Is how do I stop making it? Because if I don't stop making it, it doesn't matter how good you are getting rid of it, it'll be back. And that's kind of the foundation of what we do. And we use all different modalities I try not to ever use, I do not use chemo except in low doses with insulin under certain circumstances where we have a tumor about to affect a vital function or something like that. But other than that, we don't, because you don't have to, right? Because you're hammering something that's growing. If I don't stop it from growing, no matter how much I hammer it, it's endless. So the idea is I've got to get rid of the root. So that's probably where I differ from 99.99999% of doctors. It's that. So then that's anoasishealing.com. And also you can find me. I'm there on there, but I'm also at drlodi.com, drlodi.com. That's my own website. Then I have, I do a live stream every Sunday night of 5 p.m. Arizona time. The reason I use Arizona is they don't change their clock, right? Arizona and Hawaii don't change. So 5 p.m. Arizona time. So wherever you are, every Sunday night is a live stream, and you can just send. For those, you've got to send in questions before. So you go to my website, you can send them in before. They're not live. But if you join any of my groups, which is health and healing, parasites, and the CFC group, then we do Zooms like this twice a week for 3 hours. I mean, crazy. And we can interact. You can say, oh, I got this lump, and I'll say, so we can interact. It's a better format. But anyway, that's that.
All right, everybody. The links are below. Thank you for watching, and we'll have Dr. Lodi on again, and just have so many other videos that are coming here. And will you come back and we could do this again another time?
Eddie, I'll come back every week if you want.
One day I'll be with Dr. Lodi sitting next to meeting a durian, doing this live in person.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. You wouldn't believe how many I guess it's durian season again. It's crazy. I can't eat that many. I did a complete durian fast for a while.
Wow. Wow. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a great night. And I got some more videos coming out. Please subscribe and share this with others. Until then, everybody have a great night and a great raw life. Thank you. Okay, we are off the stream. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.